Welcome back. Today we're actually starting a new section, all right? So we're moving on to section 2. And in section 2 we're going to talk about standard form of a quadratic. Now standard form means it looks like this. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So all it means is you have those three separate terms, no parentheses, no anything like that, just ax squared, so a number with x squared, plus bx, so just a number with b, plus c, the constant that's by itself. So graphing this takes a little bit different technique, okay? So what we're going to do, the first thing we have to do when we're graphing these is identify, well, what is my A, what is my B, and what is my C? So that's the first thing to remember. With standard form, you have to identify each of those pieces. Well, here, what number is with my x squared? Well, there's a secret 1 there. What's with my x? A 2. And what's by itself? That minus 3. So once you've identified A, B, and C, just like with vertex form, the first thing we're going to do is actually find the vertex. Now, we have a little formula we have to know this time. So this formula needs to get ingrained into your brain. I know you learned it 2 years ago for Expo. Now it's time to relearn it for me. Negative B over 2A. So x equals negative B over 2 times A. So negative 2 over 2 gives me negative 1. All right, so that's the x value of my vertex. Okay, so I'm even going to put that in. X value of my vertex. How do I find my y? Well, I have an equation for that. And the equation is actually the original one that we started with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that negative 1 into that equation. So negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 3. So negative 1 squared is positive 1. 2 times negative 1 is a minus 2. And then we have a minus 3. So 1 minus 2 minus 3 gives me a negative 4. So all you have to do is go back, plug that back into the original equation to get that answer. All right, and now I'm going to plot that vertex. Negative 1, negative 4 puts me right there. Okay, and then, as you know, through that x value is our axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is going to create symmetry for our two sides. Is how we're going to graph it. Now the new thing is the y-intercept. Now in standard form, the y-intercept is super, super easy to see. It is right there. You just go down to that c value. So here, down to negative 3. And now the cool thing that you get to do, the cool thing is now I get to mirror it across the axis of symmetry. So it's 1 away from the axis of symmetry. So that means I get an identical point 1 away on the other side of the axis of symmetry. And now that I have those points, now I can sketch my curve, and there is my parabola. So again, it's not difficult. It's just a set of rules that you're going to have to remember. Okay? And speaking of rules to remember, we also still have all that wonderful vocabulary that we learned in the last section. So let's identify some of this vocab. So I see that it is the bottom. It is the minimum value of this graph. And what is that value? Well, It's the y value of the vertex. The domain. We love domain because it's always all real numbers. Okay? And the range. Again, you start with that y value. You start at that -4, and I see it's going upward. Okay? So all my y values are going to be above or equal to that -4. And that's how you graph these and how you interpret all of that vocabulary. So the only difference is how you graph it. The interpretation of the vocabulary is all exactly the same as what we did in the last section. So, but as always, let's get some more practice to make sure that we're doing this right. So, the first thing here, my A is going to be 2. My B is going to be -8. My C is going to be +1. You do have to be able to identify those pieces so you can use that vertex formula right. And again, that vertex formula, -b over 2a. Well, what's the opposite of -8? Well, the opposite of a negative is going to make it positive. So I get 8 over 2 times a. So 8 over 4 is going to give me 2. So the x value of my vertex is 2. Now I need to go back. I need to get the y value of my vertex. And again, the y value means just plugging it back in to this formula right here. All right, so let's grind this through. Oh, I'm sorry. Put an x instead of a 2. So right here, 2 squared gives me 4. But 2 times 4 gives me 8. So see the order of operations I did there. I did the exponent first, then I multiplied. Then -8 times 2 is -16 plus 1. So 8 minus 16 plus 1 gives me a -7. So there's my vertex, 2, -7. And that also makes my axis a symmetry. Remember, you always take the x value to make your axis a symmetry. Now to finish the graph, remember I need that y-intercept. So here, the y-intercept is up at +1, okay? And then I reflect it over, so it's 2 away. So I go 2 away in the other direction to get my other point. Now that I have those 3 points, I connect them, and that'll give me my parabola. Once you have your parabola made, now we can start diving into the rest of the vocabulary here. So I see that it's the bottom of my graph. Bottom is going to make it a minimum. What is that value? Well, again, you take the x or the y value from the vertex. That minimum value is 7. That's how low it is. Domain, we love domain. All real numbers. Always all real numbers. And the range, we're starting down at that -7, but I see everything is going up from it. Okay, so because it's going upward, that means my range are all the y values that are greater than or equal to that -7. All right, let's try one more before I let you go on your way. So here my A is going to be -1, B is 4, and C is going to be 3. So to find the vertex, I need that -b over 2a formula. Well, -b is going to be -4, 2 times a, 2 times the -1 is -2. Well, -4 divided by -2 goes back to being positive. So the x value of my vertex is +2. And let's find the y value now. So again, for the y value, I plug that 2 in. So here, remember order of operations. 2 squared is 4. And then you apply the negative to that. 4 times 2 is 8. Then plus 3. -4 plus 8 is 4. Plus 3 gives me 7. So my vertex is 2, 7. Axis of symmetry goes vertically through the vertex. So again, that's where you take the x value of the vertex and write the equation of that that vertical line. To finish the graph, remember to finish it, I take that 3. That 3 is my y-intercept. And now I'm going to mirror it so it's 2 away. So I go 2 away on the other side. That gives me the points that I need to complete my curve. And there is my parabola. All right, so I have my parabola. Now I'm going to answer all of those other vocab questions. So notice this time, the vertex is the top. So because it's the top, that is making it a maximum. The maximum value of it. And what is that value? You always take the y value from the vertex. That's always how you get it. The domain, as I keep saying, we really, really love the domain because it's always all real numbers, okay? That is just gift points to you. You just have to remember all real numbers. And the range, well, we're starting up at that 7. And I notice everything is going down from it. Everything is underneath it. So because of that, I know all my y values are less than or equal to that 7. And there you have it. There's all the vocabulary. So, thank you for joining me for this. And please make sure you write that summary. Again, there's a lot of stuff in this video that you're going to have to remember. So, please summarize. How are you going to remember it? What mnemonic devices, what little tricks are you going to use to remember all the information in this section? Once you do that, then just be ready to come back and do your practice work.